Hello, my friends, and welcome here. I'm Olariwaju Kolawole. If you're just joining for the first time, I want to encourage you to first click the subscribe button. All right, there is we have over 1,000 videos here to edify you in your walk with God and in the pursuit of the fulfillment of your ministry. Now, this morning, very quickly, I want to share a few things just by answering questions when it comes to writing, book publishing. There's a whole lot around that, and I want you to follow along. The first question I'm going to answer here is, what one mistake did you make when you began to release your books? One mistake I made when I began to release my books was that I did not understand that there is the passion side of things, but there is also the wisdom side of things. I was passionate to make impact. I was sincere about my passion. And so I released 3 books at once and sent their PDF files to almost everyone on my contact. I opened a broadcast group and put all the books there and sent it to them. Guess what? After about a month, I'm not sure 2 to 3 people gave feedback as to even reading the books. But some years later, when I began to print those same books, people began to ask for them and buy them and give feedbacks concerning the works. So what changed? What changed? I think it's the mistake from my end. Number one, releasing 3 books together as a first-time author is not too good, especially when you're doing PDF. The best thing is be sure that you have a good audience base and then release it, at various intervals as the people can take it in. So that was the mistake I made. Release the books freely and expected feedbacks and reactions, and there was no response. The second question here is, what is the guarantee that my books will sell if I begin to publish? There is no guarantee that your books will begin to sell if you publish, except for the following. Number one, if you're writing non-fiction, for example, you're a pastor, let's say you're a pastor, Christian setting, you already have a congregation. You may be a pastor of 100, or you may be a pastor of a larger church, maybe a pastor of like a church of 5,000 members. You can be sure that at least 1,000 members or 2,000 members would reach out and buy your book or launch your book for you and things like that. But if you want to know how to really publish your book in a way that people get to read them, buy them and read them, then you must develop a track record. You should be able to write freely on your social media handles, Facebook, your X, Instagram, depending on the kind of genre, that you're writing. But you must be consistent. People must see that you didn't just wake up one day, and now that AI is now available, many people are not likely going to trust a new author unless they are sure that there is a track record somewhere because of copy paste and plagiarism and things that we see today. So the guarantee that your books will sell when you publish them is start with what you do before you publish the books. And then you can create things like anticipate, countdown, pre-order, but you must have a good base, a good readership. People are already, reading your works in various formats, and some of them would even suggest that, can you turn this into a book? Can you write a book along these lines? And then that gives you an idea that I think people want to read your book. Also, I would say that if you're a first-time author and your following is not strong, do not publish a large quantity of books, or else you'll be discouraged. Your books will be staring you in the face and you'll be frustrated. So the best thing to do is print lesser than your desire to print. So if you think that you can print 1,000 copies and you will sell 1,000 copies in 3 months, print 500. Because most times, not all the time, but most times as an experienced author, you are not going to hit that 1,000 immediately. It takes a while. The third question here is, what topics do I write on if I want to earn? You see, for me, writing is not a business. Okay, it's a ministry, it's a calling. Now, if you're, into the academics, the academia, there is a way they structure their things, but I think people, they are still paid, where they put the works and all that. They are still paid some royalties for their works, and I understand that. Now also, when you write here, you print, you pay your printer, so I understand the dynamics of that. But you also need to know that if you want to write and your goal is to earn, maybe you are a researcher, you want to put out research papers, you are the type that assist people when it comes to writing, that's different. You want to write as a Christian and you feel you want to write something that you would earn from. Remember, because it's a calling, you have to be very careful. But one of the things you should do is go and search for hot debate topics. Okay, do your research and let it be thorough. Do a very deep, serious, intense work, and then reduce the words that you will use in that book in such a way that the concept you are trying, all right, to present makes so much sense that the reader understands what you are saying, so that it's not very voluminous, whereas it's just a repetition of what every other person has said. Okay, so maybe you're writing on sexuality, you're writing on money, you're writing on business, you're writing on marriage. Those are topics that really sell, or mysterious things or mystical things. But it's just that we have to be careful lest we begin to turn stories that we fabricated from our minds into encounters, and then we now say things like, Jesus said this to me, 10 things Jesus said to me. A man writes a book and says 33 things I saw when I went to hell. The book becomes a bestseller. And somebody else writes, following Christ, leading others. It doesn't become a bestseller. Why? The curiosity of humans. They want to know, what did you see in hell? Even though the Bible does not support that people should come back with messages from hell. Do you see what I'm saying now? So do your research on all debate topics and then see if you want to lend your voice to that. And that's having built credibility for some time. Okay, how can people who don't know me get to order my books? Now that's simple. What you should do is look for the social media platforms, or the platforms that those readers are found. You see, you don't tell fish where you want to catch it. Fishes tell you where they want to be caught, so you go and meet them there. If they're on X, you have to go and meet them on X. If they're on Facebook, go and meet them there. If they're on Instagram, go and meet them there. If they're in your neighborhood, go and meet them there. So what do? You can run what we call advertisement. There is nothing wrong with advertisement. In my book, Be Smart, Be Sure, Be Seen, my yellow book, I talked about it, that most creatives derive pleasure in their creations, right? In putting to use their skills and their gifts and their talent. That's where they derive their pleasure. Whether it sells 1 million copies or it doesn't sell, to them, they are glad that they are birthing what is in their mind. But we must go beyond that, because people only reward the work that they can see and they have interacted with. So it's okay to run advertisement, maybe for a duration, a period of time, with certain amount of money, so that you put your money behind your work and see how the providence of God also carries that. So people you don't know before will get to see. For example, my books are on Amazon, and there are people that have bought from Mexico, the US, the UK, different parts of the world that I have not met. Some have sent me messages and some have not, and I may never get to meet. So that's how you put your book in places where people who don't know you can see, and then determine whether to respond to your work. And there are 3 things that make your work stand out. Your book. Number 1, your book cover. I've heard people say things like, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, that was for those days. Now, the average reader judges books by their covers. They want to see the title, the subtitle, the design of the book, the message it passes across. There are some books, although I'm a very careful reader, I'm very picky with what I read, but sometimes I go to the bookstore, and after buying the books I really came for, I just see one book and I look at the color, I just like the design. So what's it about? And I pick it. And I may later read it and find out, oh, this is rubbish. But the cover. So you must be careful. Your cover must not be too busy with 20 images on it, and we're not even sure what you're trying to depict. So it's very important. The second thing is that the description of your book, both the subtitle and the back cover. Even if your book is sealed in a nylon, they want to know about the book. What are the things? And that's why your first lines must be very powerful, it must be catchy, it must be attention getting, so that the person is already nodding and saying, okay, or really, it may begin with a question, it may begin with a quote, it may begin with a word, a line, a phrase, but it has to connect quickly. And then you now talk about the author. They want to know, okay, who is he? Where is he coming from? Just something short. About the author does not have to be a full page. You can do that inside the book, but not at the back. But about the book, the reader wants to know what benefit they would get. So the third is recommendation. Most times, products, general products, sell by recommendation. The average person in our day and time wants to download an app and you want to quickly check the reviews. Is this the correct one? People also recommend books. One of my mentees came from the UK. We had a conversation and he got my books and posted online, and his church members began to request, oh, they want the books, they want the books. Over 10, 15 copies, about 15 copies or thereabout, we sent them to the UK just by one recommendation. Now there are others who would recommend and 20 people would come out. 50 people will reach out, depending on the level of influence, what they trust the person to be able to, to do. For example, if a professor recommends a book, the students will want to read it than a novice that really doesn't know much, especially in that field. So that's very important. The packaging of your book, the back page of the front and the back page of your book, the print quality, and then recommendations. Those are actually very important things, or referrals. Now, another question here is, do I need to run ads, or God's grace would make them spread like wildfire? If we are not careful, in the name of high spirituality, we would ignore the things that God has provided, even for our own lifting. There is nothing wrong with advertisement. If I mention certain brands, you know them: Coca-Cola, Fanta, Hollandia. If you're in Nigeria, you know Hollandia yogurt, for example. There are even people that still, those who do know Maggi, they still market them. People market pure water, bottled water, or bottled water. They market them. Nobody knows you, and you do not want to market what you have to offer. 3 things it tells me. Number 1, maybe you do not believe in your product. Number 2, maybe your product truly is not valuable. And number 3, maybe you don't need profit and increase. So that's fine if that's you. But if you know that this message needs to get to the world, it needs to get to as many people on time, then advertisement is good. Now, there is the place of the grace of God and the providence of God that can steer men's heart to respond favorably to what you have to offer, but they will not respond favorably until they are first seen. It's when they see that they can respond to it. So trust the grace of God, but you can also run ads. There is no, unless God gives an instruction and says do not run ads. Except for that, you can run ads. And in running ads also, you have to be careful. Don't take the entire capital, that the same amount you used to print the book. Let's say you did it for 1.5 million. Then you now run ads of 1.5 million. There is no profit in that. In fact, it's not good. Okay, so you have to know how to run your ads carefully and at certain time frames with certain amounts, and then you can check your analytics to see whether to adjust your ad. And it takes a while, especially because it's books, especially if you're a Christian author. Okay, it takes a while. Final question. This is the final question. What do I need to do to see to it that my books are still relevant after many years? If you want your book to be relevant after many years, you must put in the work. You must write things that they should be difficult to contest. That if you say something, we should be able to check it 10 years from now and still find it solid. Why? A principle, laws that can't be broken. But your way, of writing, your uniqueness, your flow of thought, it will show. The beauty of it would show. The level of your transformation would show in your book, in your work. But if you're following trends and just writing based on trends, your work won't really last. So I would suggest that in the niche, the field, the area that you want to focus on, make sure that you go and study the masters in that area. There is no new area that there are people that have done something in those areas. If you want to write on theology, go and study the master theologians. Look at the arguments from church history. Check the 15th century, the 16th century, the 19th century, even contemporary times. And you are going to discover, one of the things you will discover is that there is really nothing new. But you can study, knowledge, it would increase. You can begin to see certain things. But I kid you not, many new things are not really new. It's just that most people have forgotten those truths or have not even heard of it before. So what do? Do your research, make it thorough, and make sure that you really did your research, such that as you begin to communicate, we can see that you understand what you're talking about. And that's how especially Nigerian authors will do well. Let us put in the work, do the research. For example, you want to write a book and you just read 2 pages of newspaper online, and that is what you would build a whole book on. No. Today, you see Nigerian authors write books. If you are just starting, well, we can understand, but you don't write book and you don't have references. Do you see? References. We should be able to see what you wrote. We should be able to find out where you picked it from, who you learned from, all right? And then another thing is, it's okay, all right, as you begin to thrive as a writer, have people who can critique your work, who can also contribute, who can check your work. So I have some of my books I deliberately took to various ministers and said, check it out, please. What do you think? And that's good. Now, it will not be all the time, but peer review helps. Okay, it gives you some level of credibility. Their credibility rubs off on your work, but you must be sure that your work is sure. Whether there is a name attached to it or not, when we pick it up, we know we're picking up value. Then when it comes to pricing your book, pricing books is a very dicey thing. Most people don't understand it. So we can say this book is 20,000 naira, and then we can say this book is 10,000 naira, and they'll say nobody can pick 4 of these from this book. Yes, but you see, in the printing world, the more you print, the more copies, the cheaper. So that's why when you see American books, and I'm saying this because I love Nigerian authors and I want us to thrive. Let me tell you the truth. When you see foreign books being brought and they are maybe 4,000 naira or 5,000 naira, and the Nigerian writes something of quality, in print and in thought, and the same page, and the Nigerian said, well, it's 8,000. They said, no, now, even white people, that should know better. It's not so. Number one, how many copies did the person print? Number two, the author has the right to determine the value he gives his work. Okay? If he says it is 10 pages and it is 1 million, it's his choice. Guess what? Those that will buy it would buy it. I know some pastors in Nigeria who have books that are 22,000, 25,000, one book, and people buy it. And I know some too whose books are 1,000 naira and people are still not buying. So the quantity printed matters, the quality matters. Okay, the number of pages matters. So all of those things, you have to check. Now, I hope that helps you. Let me know which point helps you, the most. And I should not go without blessing you. And so this is my blessing. I want you to know about my books. All right, by the grace of God, I think I have 28 books in print now, and I just want to show you some of them. This is my first ever printed book, Equip Volume 1. It's actually out of print, but we're going to print again. If you're in the US, it's on Amazon. They will always print it for you. But here in Nigeria, I took this copy from someone actually, but it's a good book. This is Konji. It has to do with the subject of sexual purity, overcoming addictions, and matters of the soul. It's a blessing to many. People have bought it for teenagers in their churches, and I'm grateful for it. Pastors and ministers have bought it for their leaders, and it's great. I think you should also get it. Good book. Now I have here Learn, Live, Lead. This is on discipleship. These 2 books are on discipleship. Learn, Live, Lead. Following Christ, leading others. For those who are changing spiritual fathers like they are changing diapers, you have to understand that that's not how the kingdom of God works. You may have many instructors, but you have only one father. All right, and you don't switch fatherhood just because they did something that was not nice. It takes a while. All right, and there are principles that when they are broken, then you can say, okay, maybe it's abuse. Then you can walk away, but don't just hastily walk away because they rebuked you. Okay, I have these 2: following Christ, leading others. You want to know how to disciple people in a healthy way that honors God and that will be a blessing to them. This is a good book for you. This is my newest book in town, Equip Volume 1. I've done Equip Bible course. All right, we have done over 56 hours of Bible teaching on systematic theology, the introductory aspect, by God's grace. And my students have asked me, let's turn it to a book. I think it will be a blessing to more people. The videos are free on YouTube, but this is the book format. So we have Equip Bible Course Volume 1, Basic Edition. Then we have Equip Bible Course Volume 2, Progress and Joy. All right, that is coming out. I think it should be here this week, and you want to reach out to get it. Kingdom-minded Christian, how to be a kingdom ambassador wherever you are. There are 2 chapters I like in this book where I talk about the way of strategic prayer. All right, how to engage prayer in a way that God not only hears and responds, but you are sure that you have the note of victory and that you are prevailing in prayer. And then here, this is my bestseller. The first printing is already exhausted. This is the second printing, and it just came here, I think maybe last week or thereabouts. It's a good book. The Bible is not difficult. I'm a Bible student. I love the Bible. I read the Bible every day. I study it. I keep learning it. And I feel that this book would encourage Christians to see that the Bible is not difficult. It does not mean that there are portions of the Bible that are easy, but I'm saying that in the overall, all right, the Bible is not difficult. You can learn it. You can understand it. You can interpret it correctly. And that way you're able to defend yourself from charlatans and liars and manipulators and Bible twisters. I hope this is a blessing to you. Please leave your comments in the comment section. Let me hear from you, and do well to subscribe. God bless you as you embark on your writing journey.